And then I crush it, tell my girl why I'm so bold. Until she trusts it. I'm like the world inside a snow globe. Rap for the music.
So here's a question. What is it that you do when your son starts to feel manly? Right? When they're born, they're so cute and they're cuddly, and then they become cute toddlers, and then they laugh and they giggle, and then they become young kids, and then they become tweens, preteens, teens. And at some point, it has to happen, right? All of us as men have crossed that bridge. We all have stories, especially the ones of us who grew up with fathers in the home. You have stories about, well, what happened when I tried to cross the line? What happens when I thought, you know what? I think I learned enough. I think I'm tough enough. I think I'm going to make my own rules. I'll be disrespectful. I'll do what it is that I want to do. What happens when that happens? It's a part of it. It's a part of life. When my guy was 5 or 6 years old, still cute, still running around outside, playing, riding his bike, running, I had a conversation with his mom, and essentially, I'm going to have to fuck this kid up one day. 16, 17, 18. There's going to be a point where I'm going to have to put some hands on this guy as safe as possible, but it's going to happen, and it's for his good. And it's going to look horrible to the mother. They're not equipped for that. That's not the road that they take. It looks barbaric and it looks assaultive. And they wonder, well, why are you so tough on this kid? Or why are you treating him like this? Or why are you ragdolling this child? And they just don't understand. The best thing that we can do as men is to communicate that with the mother up front and early, right? And consistently and constantly talk about this road between boyhood and masculinity. What happens on that road? Some of these things just aren't for you to watch. Some of them just are not for the mother to witness, to be part of. They're just not. The idea is, do you trust me as a man and as a father enough that my decisions you can trust, that they're not abusive, that they do have goals in mind, that they do have thoughts and there's a method to that madness. Because what happens when they're about 12 or 13, somewhere around in that area, is they go through puberty, right? And they start to wonder, how do they fit into society? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? Is this man who I respect as my father, is he the mark of all men? Is he the standard? Is he the limit? If I test my mettle against him, am I able to go out in the world and do some things? And then it becomes our responsibility to let this kid know, you're not ready. You're not ready. And you're going to get touched inside this house safely, right? Just enough that you know you ain't ready, bro. You're just not, and then you got to bring the kid back in and counsel him and rebuild him and let him know, okay, here are your deficiencies. Here are the things that prevent you from doing the things that you want. Here are the reasons why you can't be the man of the house. You don't have a job. You're not bringing in any kind of money. You don't have any experience. You're not as strong as me. That old man strength is real. There's nothing that you can do to best me in this household. And if you got a kid that's 12 or 13 or 15 or whatever it is, who can best you, you need to check yourself, right? The whole goal is, I should be the standard. I should be the shepherd that moves this guy from one place to the next. I should have the lessons for him and the experience that he can tap into to sort of guide him. But they don't know, right? And so we have a few different options when that circumstance arises, because it will. And it's not personal. It's not, they don't hate the father. They just want to know, where do I fit in the world? And they should. Right? And then when you knock the kid down and crush him, that feeds our egos. As a man, I'm still the man of the house. There isn't anything for you to do here. I'm the boss. You do what I say. The difficulty with that is, are you out of control when you do it? Because if you appear to be out of control, if you're out of control, then you are. And then this child does have more control than you think, because he's able to put you in a position where you're out of control, where you're doing things that are out of character. right? Whether it's legal or not, whether it's CPS or not, but are you doing things that are not inside the character that you want to present, and they're not pro-social and they're not productive? Are you doing those things? Because the reality is you don't want to crush that spirit, right? You don't want to completely alleviate this child's ability to go out in the world and to essentially explore, because that's how discoveries are made, exploration. So my job as the father isn't to quell or to crush this uprising that this boy is feeling. It's to guide it. But you want to run the streets and drive fast and chase women and drink, do all these things. My job isn't to extinguish those things. It's to take the energy, harness it, and give you the positive, most positive direction that you can take it in. And that's difficult and it's frustrating at times. But I'm not about to stand here and be disrespected in a house that I paid for, that I built, that I made, that I cleaned, that I do all these things for, and you're just going to just mouth off. That's out. So I'm going to stop that, as well I should, right? And I need to show an example of how you set boundaries as a man, how you prevent people from infiltrating the family and destroying it. How do you go about doing that, all while being under control, all with a firm, stern hand, but with some guidance, with some understanding and some inclusion with this boy's life. It's a very difficult and necessarily balanced undertaking. It is. I mean, we can all, hopefully, right, in theory, we can all beat our sons up in their teens. But if you're beating them up because they're challenging you, that's different than giving them guidance and setting boundaries. That's different. If you're just slapping them because you can, that's abuse. If you're slapping them to shock them back into the reality and to let them know, okay, listen, you can't go past this boundary that's already set, and you have to understand that there are real consequences. And the consequences that I'm giving you as a father, although potentially brutal and hard, they're safe. They're not going to cost you your life in a loving relationship, right? And that's the tactic that we have to take. Yeah, I have to show you that there's some gangster inside of me. There is. And there's no changing that. There's no removing that. You have to understand that, no, it's me. This is all me right here. You got to understand that as the son. But it like I say, it can't be abusive. And I know in my life with my guy, there are times that I've had to snatch him up in front of baseball teams, in front of family, wherever. Listen, you're going to get snatched up because you're way out of line. But I also have to control myself, and I also have to think, okay, don't injure this kid. Don't get too far out of line. Keep your composure, and it can't be out of frustration. I gave him a lecture. He was about 5, and little kids, they act out, right? And so he goes into the kitchen, and he asked his mom for something, I don't know, chocolate milk or something, and she told him no. And he got so frustrated, so he balls up his little fist and he punches her in the stomach. No force, right? 5. Not a tough guy, not a gangster, just 5. And so I had to snatch him up and go, hey, listen, I understand that that's your mom, and I understand that you're frustrated. And I understand that she told you no, and you have a relationship with her that doesn't have anything to do with me. But what you have to understand is that's not just your mom. It's my lady, right? And if you touch her again, it's going to be a problem for you, because I'm not about to let somebody assault her or abuse her as they see fit because they feel like they can. That's out. And he obviously he stopped. He never touched her like that again. Children, they need guidance. But he still tells that story like, I don't want too much problems. That's his lady. So, I get it, it's my mom, but there's boundaries. And so asserting your expectations and asserting your boundaries and asserting all those things, that'll carry you through. But I know he's 12. There's going to be another time, multiple times, where I'm going to have to do this dude in, all out of love. I have to realize and remember and understand what I'm doing even during those times. Because if you don't, you run the risk of, 1, losing the fight, And then all of a sudden he's the alpha male in the house and there's nothing you can do about it but pay his rent. 2, you wind up in jail because you beat this kid to a pulp. 3, what happens if he comes back because he feels disrespected, right? Kids know the difference between abuse and discipline. Now he comes back with a brick or a stick or a pistol or whatever it is, and now you have different problems, right? And then myriad of other things. CPS gets involved, tons of different options. So the idea is you have to have a relationship, you have to be able to counsel, you have to be able to talk, and every now and then you're going to have to put your hands on the kid as legal as possible, as long as they understand what's happening, right? The whole goal is to shock this dude back into the reality of the situation and let him know you're not ready. And hopefully, when they're in their 20s or in their 30s, when they can take you and you can't take them, hopefully what you have is a mutual respect between you so that you can move forward in life, right? That they do respect. They know, he's still a man as the father. We all know when we get to the point where we can beat our dads up. We all understand that. But by the time he gets there, I want to have instilled so much respect, so much mutual respect, that there's never even a thought that that's an option, right? Because like I've said before, I know that all I'm doing is building a replacement. I'm building a peer and I'm building a partner. And so at some point I will be replaced. I will not be the alpha. I will not be the dominant. I will not be the strongest person in the family. And it will be up to him to continue whatever legacy I've built. It's up to me to ensure that he's as well balanced as possible, that he understands the lines, the boundaries, and the respect. Because I told a kid the other day who got into it with his parents, listen, you have to listen to your parents. They're not going to tell you anything wrong, even when it seems crazy that they're asking you to do things or you feel like they're disrespectful. At the very, very end of the day, they do love you, right? And so they're not going to do anything that's crazy to you or, to you. But I don't love you. And everybody else out here, they don't even know you. They don't love you like your parents. And so you run the risk of somebody doing your silly ass in because you don't have any respect. And if you don't have any respect at home, you'll get out into the world and just act a fool, right? And I think it's incumbent upon us as parents and as fathers to ensure that that doesn't happen, to ensure that our children know how to act in the streets because we ensure that they know how to act at home. Because that's the truth, right? You don't want to have your kid out in the world and you lose him because he thinks he can talk to anybody crazy. He can slap anybody's lady. He can go into the bar and do whatever he wants because everybody's not having it. There are people out there that are just not having it, right? And so we have to make sure that they understand the limits. And that is not something that mothers are responsible for. It's not something that they're equipped for. It's not something that they should even be involved in, given the fact that there's a father in or around the home, So anyway, take it for what it's worth. It's normal to have issues with your teenage kids. They're all dicks, okay? It is what it is. But it's temporary. They're your sons, and they'll grow out of it. If you don't address it at this point, they'll grow out of it into a bigger idiot. But if you do address it and you address it correctly, they'll grow out of it into the man that you want to see them become. As always, they will change you if you let them. Have a good day.
Say the party for the guest list. Ain't nobody wanna test this. It's my illusion where my chest is. Feeling low and deflated and defeated where I hide this. Hint behind the places where my heart and my breast is. Maybe human, unimpressive.